Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is July 18th, 2014. I can't believe it's that date. My name is Lynn Marquidant, and I'm your host. By saying I can't believe it's that date, I cannot believe we're more than halfway through the month of July. Where is summer going? Hopefully you're having as much fun as I am. It's been a great summer so far, and it's the start of another wonderful quilty weekend. So welcome, everyone. I hope that you have a project. Remember, the whole point of FiberCast is for all of us to see what we can get done in 60 minutes. So grab a project and let's quilt. Tonight I have a lot of different things to talk about and to share and to show and to work on. First off, as you can probably see behind me, is the Clemson quilt. And sometimes simple is better. This is about 80 inches by 80 inches, so it's square, and it will cover Tim, who is over 6 feet tall, and each square is 5.5 inches square. And you'll see that I just did a trip around the world type of arrangement. I quilted in the ditch, both horizontally and, horizontally and vertically, and in orange, and the back is all Clemson fabric, so I think it'll do the trick. I think I'm going to stop there. I was planning to, or I was playing with in my mind doing some other types of quilting on top of it, but I think simple is better in this case. All I have left to do is bind it. I put the binding on, but I have to hand sew it and then put on a nice label. So, Clemson quilt done, and just in time we received an invitation to his graduation party on August 2nd. So I'm feeling good about that. And I thought everyone would be proud to hear that I've decided to throw the scraps into my string bucket. I could certainly get some squares out of this, but I just don't feel like cutting it up right now. So they're all going in my string bucket. And the extra stuffing I threw away. So you'll be glad about that. So that's going in the string bucket. The other thing I wanted to share was sort of instead of Thankful Thursday, I'm doing Thankful Friday, which is I'm thankful for my walking foot. I don't know where I've been. It's like the webbing technique, passed me by for so many years. The walking foot has passed me by for years, and I cannot say enough good things about it. Maybe you already use it, but I use this, of course, to do all of the quilting. I didn't even use my stitch regulator. I used it to put the binding on, and it just did such a nice job of keeping the top and the bottom fabrics moving together at the same time. So I'm thrilled, and I just wanted to share that tip. If you haven't gotten out that thingy, then I encourage you to do it because it's really a good little tool. So that's the Clemson quilt. Let's see. Oh, one more thing. Send emails, post on Google, post on Facebook. Let us know what you're working on. Post pictures. I love to see everyone's pictures and what you're doing. Karen, if you're out on the West Coast, hello, and I hope you finish work soon. Karen in Pennsylvania, hello. We're getting ready for a mystery quilt, which we'll talk about in a minute. And everyone in between, Sandra, Ann, Marquet, Norma, Sheila in Tennessee. I just so love hearing about what you're all working on. Becca, and I could go on, and I will try to. So send me emails and text me. And the next thing I wanted to do was, let's just jump right into the Dumptique shirts. Yes, I said it. Dumptique shirts. Kind of like boutique shirts you get at a boutique, but you get them at the Dumptique. And a few of you, Jean included, asked me, what are Dumptique shirts? Well, down where my mother lives, they have a dump, and they also have a store out front that they call lovingly the Dumptique, and it's where you can drop off things that you don't want anymore, or you can pick up things in the Dumptique that you think you might be able to use. And so last time I was visiting, a couple of weeks ago, when Bob and I were down there for the 4th of July, I went into that store and I got us 3 cotton, or what my mother called and I learned about broadcloth shirts. And I've washed them and dried them a couple of times, so I'm confident that they're clean. There's 1, 2, 3, and they're all stripes, granted, so you know they'll be a little persnickety to work with, but I just wanted to have some of these in my stash to pull out for my scrap quilts, because I am definitely doing the scrap quilty thing. So what I wanted to do was take them apart. And I thought that might be a good thing to do to get started on. And it's nothing glamorous. It's just what you might think. The way I do it is I just cut out all of the big pieces. And then I'm always pretty excited about how much material there really is in a shirt. And the hand of this material is just so nice. Of course, you don't want to do this with shirts that are worn a lot, but oftentimes at yard sales or at thrift shops, as I'm sure you all know, you can find shirts that have never been worn. That's a nice big, nice piece of cotton. Let me move that over. So, and of course I'll iron it. If we have time, I'll do it here. And I cut off each cuff. Sometimes there's material in the cuff. I guess I could use the cuffs and the collar for my strip piecing. You know, let's see. So here's one cuff. The thing is, these shirts aren't large men's shirts. I'd get a lot more if they were. They're more like kids, or this one might be a woman's medium. But let's see what maybe we can get. It's probably a strip. Yeah, so there's one strip. The interfacing's cut to it. You know, that's kind of fun. This is definitely, you can do this in front of the TV or in front of FiberCast, and it's just some good alternatives. Let's keep going here. Oh, I could even, you know what would be fun, is to include that pocket literally in a patch. Wouldn't that be fun? I went to the quilt store the other day. It was a while, when was it? Oh, I know what it was. On the Clemson quilt, I ran out of both purple and orange. So I went down to Sophisticated, which is a discount fabric store we have. And she ripped the fabric. And she asked me first, was I okay if she ripped it? And I said I was fine with that. You know, it gives you a jaggedy edge that you have to make sure that the fabric doesn't become distorted, but at least you know it's straight of grain. And what I loved was the fabric was $2.99 a yard instead of $11. So, okay, this even has a dart in it, which I probably am just going to leave for now, and then when I get to using this, I can cut that up. So, and that all goes in. So these are my Dumptique shirts, and that was my tricky little way to get you to sew with me. I hope you have your projects out. I think a couple of you, Joyce, both Joyces, Joyce M, Joyce L, I think you're doing the Merry Mayhem mystery with us. I think I saw you say that. And that is going to be really fun. See? So this is just, you know, I can't think of anything to, oh, I can think of something to do with this. Tomatoes. If you have stakes in the ground and you need to tie up your tomatoes, this is great to do that. In fact, I am keeping that because I have some unwieldy tomato bushes. Bridget, if you're out there, I don't know how you're getting our tomatoes to stand up so beautifully up at the community garden, because I have some here and they're just flopping everywhere. Might be a different, it's probably a different kind. So, and I don't have the nice tomato cages like we have up at the other garden. I have sticks. So maybe this will help me tie it up. So we just keep cutting along. I wonder if this will, yeah, nope, that didn't work. See, it started to rip around the sleeve. I knew that too. Okay. So there's another arm. Isn't this fun? And again, when you cut this up, it's going to give us a lot. I promise I am going to sew tonight. I just wanted to at least cut one of these up. Now we get to the big pieces here. Woohoo! I wanted to, wasn't it fun to have Sarah here last week? Sarah, if you're on, thank you so much for sharing with us all of those goodies. Eye candy, quilting eye candy. For those of you who maybe didn't tune in last week, we had Sarah Kokanowski here from Embroider This and from weekendkits.com. And she is just a prolific quilter, and she was showing us row by row the series of quilt store rows that are being offered between now and I think September. What a great idea. In fact, did she say over 1,000 stores across the country are participating? And there are kits, and she had made a couple. She'd done a Boston Strong one, and I don't know about you, but I certainly was inspired by her Mariner's Compass. That really is a beautiful quilt. And her piece de resistance is her art quilt there, the Heron. So I hope you enjoyed it. I did see some comments that you did like having guests, so thanks for that. I have another guest who has expressed interest. She's making silk scarves. And I think we'll have her come on and just show us how she does it. She said it's kind of a messy project, which if you're dyeing, certainly, as we all know, that can be messy. So we'll have to see what we do. I'm not really set up right now to do any waxing or batiking or stove work. But we can get creative. It's so fun to see what everyone brings to the table and does. So I'm just continuing to cut this up. As you'll see, there's another sleeve done. I have one more front panel. I'm not going to try and salvage that, the buttonholes, although I'm sure there's some creative thing we could do with that too. Stringing something through the buttonholes. And you know who would have an idea is Judy. If you're out there, if anyone could think of something to do with this, it would be you. The challenge is on. So it's the front of the shirt, and it has very nicely made, evenly spaced buttonholes. What could we use this for? Okay. So we have another pocket front. I'm going to leave that as is. And just put that, and then we'll do the collar, maybe get a strip or two. I almost pulled out my string piecing, but I pulled out something better that we're going to work on after we go through. This is definitely a this and that show. I should have said that right off the bat. This is summertime this and that quilting, and I just heard a text come in. So with that, oh, we want to take the interfacing off. There's the other collar. And I think we'll just put that there, that away, do one more cuff. And I probably should save the button. No. Resources, really, many resources are finite. And for you economists out there, maybe the truer statement is all resources are finite. What resource wouldn't be finite? Certainly in any of our given lifetimes, every resource is finite, right? Oh, let's not go there yet. It's early. Who's out there? Oh, Sarah Kokanowski. She says, I just tuned in. I'm going to work a bit on my rows, my row by rows tonight. Well, wonderful, Sarah. I don't know if you were able to hear me, but I was thanking you for coming last week to share, share what you were working on. I started to dial a phone number. We've received lots of comments that people enjoyed seeing your work, so thank you. Excuse me. And Sarah, I will see you tomorrow. Who else is out there? Jean, are you out there in your studio with your amped up Wi-Fi? I hope you are. It's loading. Joyce says, hi Joyce. She's working on her MQ, which is Marathon Quilters, raffle blocks. Thanks for the sew along time. And yes, I will be sewing the Merry Mayhem mystery tomorrow. Oh, that's wonderful. Joyce, I think maybe you were the first one to tip me off to the Merry Mayhem, so I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, how fun. And here is the Marathon Quilt block, one of them. Can people see that? And of course, what is it called? Styles and Paths, I think is the name of it. A few FiberCast episodes ago, we made several of them. And I really like that. Linda Grant, if you're out there, I think you're going to be surprised at how good these look together. It's almost going to be like the retro, it's going to be a retro quilt that's going to look really cool. I'm pretty sure. And this is kind of funny. So for all of you out there, Chris, if you're out there, happy moving day. Tomorrow's your moving day. So as soon as you move, then we can get back to quilting. But it was kind of funny. There was lots of controversy over how big this block should be. And we all got the directions. And at the end, I had made them the right size, but it could have gone either way. It was a 50-50 thing. We weren't sure if it was supposed to be 9 inches finished block or 9 inches as it's measured here, so that when you put it in the quilt with a 1/4 inch seam, it would be 8.5 inches. And Sarah did a really nice job of describing that and explaining that no, in fact, each of these, a finished block that's going to be 9 inches, really at this state is going to be 9.5 by 9.5. So anyway, we had a little chuckle over that, and we educated all of ourselves again about writing that in the pattern that you want. How to talk about that. Kind of funny. It just goes to show you, no matter how many years you've been quilting or how long you think you've been sewing, there are always basics to go back to and refresh ourselves on. So Joyce, welcome, and I love your colors. Love, love, love them. Debbie, hi. She says she loves the Hangouts. Not sure if I can make it tonight. Depends on family and what they want. Don't we know that? And that family comes first. That makes sense. Well, join us when you can, even if it's the archive. I went into YouTube and I made sure the archives were accessible, and they are. So please enjoy them whenever. And I always love to see, Debbie, your machine there. I want to show people this machine. I just clicked on it. I may be going into Never Never Land. Oh, Yep, it's probably going to poof out on me. Yep, okay. Let me go one more. Let's see who else is out there. Oh, there we go. So it's a mint green machine that Debbie always has on her avatar. I don't know if it's an alder or I'm not quite sure. I can't figure out what it is. Sandra, hi. Sandra says, loved you and Sarah last week, and now I want to go cut up something. You're so funny. Thanks for FiberCast. She says, laugh out loud. That's beautiful. And get yourself some really sharp scissors. It goes really well. So let's cut up one more, and then I promise we'll talk about the Mary Mayhem quilt, the mystery quilt, and I'll show you my fabrics, and we'll talk about the 2 parts that are available already to the mystery. And then I have 2 other things that, time permitting, we will dive into. Again, Judy, if you're out there, here's another strip with buttonholes. What could we do with that? You could hang it and put keys on it. I hope you're laughing, and I hope you're thinking to yourself, just chuck that piece. This shirt really shrunk. Can I just tell you? These shirts, none of these shirts were this small out of the Dumptique, which makes me wonder if they had ever been washed. They might have been dry cleaned. Dry cleaning doesn't shrink things, right? Sandra, you're so funny. Go cut something up. Oh, who's that? Oh, and I have this button. I'm just going to cut that off. Who just dung? Dung? Dinged? Mary H., welcome. So glad to have you join us. Oh, and Sarah says, sewing the binding on today. Wow, on your Mariner's Compass, beautiful. And she says she's looking forward to Mary Mayhem tomorrow. Me too. Me too. I've heard great things about Mary Mayhem, and she's been doing these mystery quilts for a long time. I think either Joyce or Jean turned me on to her originally. I think, now she's done it many times, and from what reading I've done on her site, she does something very smart that I did not do on our last mystery quilt, which was she had testers of her patterns, which is so smart. Because then you know for sure that the contrast will be there and that the directions are understood, and we'll get there. Oh, so this cuff is much bigger. And I have to tell you, this fabric is so nice. Oh, broadcloth. So when we were down visiting my mom, and I said to her, Mom, I want to go to the dump and pick up some nice shirts, some nice cotton shirts. And she said, you mean broadcloth shirts? And I have to tell you, I had the wrong definition of broadcloth. In the end, that's exactly what I wanted. And we looked it up, and broadcloth, I thought, was a combination of cotton and maybe a little polyester and almost duck cloth, like kind of thicker. And it is kind of thick, I think. Basically, when you look it up, so look up the definition of broadcloth. It's a cloth that has been, oh boy, it has a weave that has been shrunk in somehow. This one I can't get the interfacing off, so I'm chucking it. And so yes, broadcloth can be all cotton broadcloth. It can be, was my understanding, it could be different types of fiber, but the point was that it was, whether it was agitated or somehow shrunk, washed and shrunk so that it was a tighter weave. Bottom line, tighter weave. And you know what? That's not any good either because it also has another piece of interfacing connected to it. So, I'm just going to put that aside. So I share that just as another example of how there's always something new to discover. And this thing called the internet, man, is it giving us a more full and richer life. Now, not to be displaced, though, by beauty outside, I've done a lot since I've seen everyone last week. Remember, I walked around our lake on Saturday morning last week after I saw everyone Friday night, after Sarah and I were here. What fun. It took us 4 hours, and we think it was about 6 miles, and it kind of meanders around the lake, and it's well marked. The Boy Scouts mark it, and in fact, some of the Eagle Scouts have built bridges over some of the trails, so it's really very well marked. But there are some, what are they called? Dog loops, or loops that go out to a peninsula and come back that you could bypass. So some of them we did by mistake, kind of, because I think at some point we were ready to bypass them. So, and a couple of times we had to backtrack because we ended up in neighbors' yards. So we probably went a little more than 6 hours, but that explains why it took us more than 6 miles, but that's why it took us more than 4 hours. And it was just really nice, and I'm so glad we left at 7 in the morning, so we didn't, we were home by 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so we weren't hiking in the heat of the day, and there were just 3 of us, me and my 2 neighbors, one of whom is moving to Denver in a couple of weeks, so it was, and she has been living in the neighborhood, I want to say, Megan, if you're out there, 5 years, or Bridget, and it was something she wanted to do before they left. So we sure were glad that she invited us, both Bridget and I will do that again. It was really nice. I joke with my family that I'm a hiker now. See, if you're out there, I'm a hiker. See, and this still isn't working well. It's probably a very well-made shirt because the interfacing on both of these isn't coming off, and I just don't want to fuss with that. Okay, almost done. Then we'll get to Merry Mayhem. If anyone's out there and has any curiosity about this mystery, go to merrymayhem.com, and it's MERRYMAYHEM. The quilt, the mystery that's on tomorrow is case 137. I've never personally done one, but I think she dribbles out or gives the clues throughout the day. And I have the first 2 printed out that I'll share with you. And I didn't expect to see the second one, but there was a surprise if you subscribed to Merry Mayhem's mailing list yesterday. She sent out clue number 2 in the email this morning. So we're getting there. I'm just doing the back yoke here. I fell asleep to Bonnie Hunter's webcast midweek. That was fun to see her. And aren't you curious what she's working on this weekend up there at Quilt Villa with Mickey, and there was a third woman who I didn't recognize. I think they're working on the fall mystery quilt. That's at least one of the things I think they're working on. And yes, I'm going to do that again. I was thinking, though, you know, with this Clemson quilt and all of the nieces and nephews, I may have set a precedent here for college quilts for a while, but we'll see. It really doesn't jazz me all that much to do a quilt for a deadline. It just, there's something about it. I don't know, for those of you who sell quilts, I admire the ability to do that, because I find it quite difficult to have to do something, which my mother would say that's true in every part of your life. But, you know, just knowing that I would have to do a certain quilt a certain way just takes the fun out of it. But then again, whew, those tomatoes are going to have a lot of strings. Okay, so we have one more. All right, Dumptique shirt number 2. Look at that. There's one. And there's 2. All right, so I'll cut up the third one, maybe if we have time at the end. But for now, let's move on and talk about Mary Mayhem. Okay. Oops, sorry. I bet that jostled the camera. Oh, and there I did it again. Okay. Mary Mayhem is doing this one-day quilt tomorrow. And it's called We Salute You. It says, join Mary Mayhem for a romp into the unknown as you make this 55-inch by 65-inch lap quilt that was designed in honor of Quilts of Valor. And then she gives you supplies and fabrics and cutting instructions. And basically, I wanted to show you my fabrics. I'm veering off a bit because I wanted to use what I had in my stash. And I thought I'd show you this tonight so that next week, hopefully I'll have something to share with you. And everyone can post what they do on, I think Marathon Quilters Guild has a page, or wherever you want to post it. First it says get a yard of light background. I'm using just this white cotton. Then it says 5/8 of a yard can be, this is my focus print. And it can be large scale print, should be multicolored, but read as a light to medium. And I found in my stash something that isn't so much patriotic, but it is very summery. And it goes with the camper theme. I don't know if you can see that up close, but I thought that was cute. And it had enough colors in it to pull in. It has some white in the background. And then they wanted us to get a light blue. Oops. I don't know if you can see this. This is probably less than satisfying. I'll speed this up. So they wanted a light blue. Then they wanted a medium blue, which I did a little bit of a green. Then a dark blue. And then a red. And I think they wanted some contrast here between the light blue and the medium. And I think it'll work. We'll see. So there are my Mary Mayhem. I'm supposed to have cut them all out. As you can see, I have not done that yet. I also, again, by being on their mailing list, received clue number 1, which I love. It looks nice and easy and very straightforward and well written to follow. And I guess for those of you who are already doing this, Karen, if you're out there, you may already be doing part 1. That's awesome. I probably will get up early with a cup of coffee and do my cutting before I head over to Sarah's. But Sarah, know that I've printed out part 2. So that's Mary Mayhem. And Karen, I'll be Skyping with you tomorrow, probably from Sarah's. And for anyone else, let's Skype and text and just be in touch online. So that's Mary Mayhem. Now I have two more things that I thought we could pull out while we have in our remaining time and really do some sewing. Let me clean up one more thing here just to show you. Look at all of these tomato wrappers, and they're strong. So that's going to be very good. Put that there. Okay. I have a Dear Jane block, and I have a Hitty quilt, a miniature quilt for a wall hanging. And the Hitty quilt is literally, it's a log cabin pattern, and it's literally, that is the whole quilt. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to measure it. It's literally 2.5 inches across by 2 5/8 or 2.5 down. I mean, tiny. And they sent, this is Wilson, Gail Wilson's pattern again. And she gave me fabrics for the Hitty log cabin quilt. And literally gave me the order. The center is a bright pink. So where's that? There. Then 1 and 2 are one of the lightest tans. And I basically put these all out. 3 and 4 are an all-over tan print. 5 and 6 are the palest blue. 7 and 8 are an, oh boy, all over blue. I got switched around. All over blue. Did you see what happened there? I had blue on both sides. So, oh boy. You know, it was a wonder. Can I just say, doing this webbing while we were talking last weekend was trickier than I thought it might be, because I had to have them all in the same row, and it was staggered. So I only made that one mistake. I thought that was funny. Okay. Lightest tan, tan and red, medium blue, and then darkest blue, and then darkest brown. And the back is brown. And this must be the binding. Oh, once again, gripping FiberCast, I know. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do is cut all of these in half the long way. And I'm going to keep them in order. But I'm not going to cut the pink one because that's the center square. But all the rest, and I have so much room to play with that I'm not too concerned with lining up these perfectly. We pretty much have those. I'm going to turn it over. Oh, and this one I'm supposed to cut into 4. Peggy, if you're out there, hello. I've been seeing your posts, but I haven't, and I saw that you were on live, and I didn't say hello to you last week. Sounded like it's still cold down there in Australia. So again, Mary, welcome. We have a new subscriber. Karen, the same Karen I've been talking to, says, Let's see. TGI FCF. Thank goodness it's FiberCast Friday. And she says, hi to everyone. We made it to another Friday. Tonight I'm finishing a placemat and resting for Merry Mayhem Mystery tomorrow. Oh, aren't those pretty? Love your colors. Look at this. So these are Karen's colors for Merry Mayhem. Oh, I love that. That is going to be beautiful. And those are following the quilts, the Salute to Valor colors. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Carol, hi. Carol says, oh, and we have a text in. Jean says, just joining. Hi, Jean, welcome. You missed the Dumptique shirts. I'll tell you about those in a minute. Carol says, how about making some sort of Christmas Advent quilt with those buttonhole strips? That's a good idea. I should have known you too would have an idea. Very cool. And of course, I've got a third shirt. So if each one of those has maybe 5 buttonholes, I can get another couple of shirts and we could do something creative. And you're saying like for every day of the Advent, we would unbutton a little pocket that had a button that was on there or something. Oh, or we could use it to hang ornaments. Love that idea. Thank you, Carol. Great to see you're on, too. Saw a photo of you enjoying summer with your boys, and you just looked so happy. Joyce. Ah, Joyce L. So it's not too late to get clue 2. And you do have it all cut out? Joyce L. has said she has it all cut out. That is great. Okay, so all you have to do, go to marymayhem.com or to the Facebook page. I think I had to go through the Facebook page to their page and just look for Get on Their Mailing List. Type in your email. They promise they won't spam us. And then look in your email box and they will send you, well, first you have to confirm that you approve it. It's through a program called MailChimp. Click, say you approve, you know who Merry Mayhem is, you approve to be on their list. Then they will send you clue number 2. And if you want, if you don't get it, send me an email and I'll send it to you after FiberCast in a few minutes. Okay. I'm so glad you're going to be playing with us, Joyce. Oh, let me see. Jean. Wonderful. Hopefully you're watching with your Wi-Fi in your studio. We are making this Hitty quilt. So once I get moving on the Hitty quilt, I will describe the Dumptique again. This is tiny. So once again, you really have to get good at working backwards on these things. And I put them in the wrong order. So here I have the lightest tan is supposed to be number 1. So I'm literally they give you so much of this, they must just expect us to cut a lot off. And I already have filled my needle with Aurifil. Oh, and look at what I got for my birthday. An IKEA light. I love it. Bob and I, for my birthday, we both made our virgin trek to IKEA. Well, man, even the the holes in this look so big. So this light was $9.99, and it's quite long, you know, and you can move it around. It does get pretty hot. This part does. But I like it, just for a very focused light. Okay, so there is number 1, and I don't have much to trim because I made that quite small. See, so there's number 1. Now we'll do number 2. I'm staying right on the line. And then see how I have a lot of excess there? Now I'm going to cut. But first I want to make sure I'm good. I doubt you guys can see that. But okay, so I trimmed the back, and now I'm going to finger press this one over. So there was 1 and 2. Now let's do 3 and 4, which is this all over print. You know, we may not get to one of our Dear Jane blocks tonight, but this is kind of like a Dear Jane. I'll feel accomplished if I finish this. I hope you're working on your projects and making some progress. I sure appreciate you keeping me company. FiberCast Friday. Who would have known? We've been doing this for more than half a year. Oh, and I have a text. Hang on. Okay, I'm going a little bit over. See, so now, look at the back. Doesn't that look messy? I'm going to cut off the top. There we go. We're starting to see the middle square of our log cabin. Excellent. It's going to work. Who's out there? Sarah says, you are really brave to attempt that Hitty quilt on air. I know. Aren't I, though? Remember, it didn't go so well a couple of months ago. That was the infamous, I just threw up my hands and didn't do a thing. But this is working. So this is going to be fun. Okay. It helps that I have all the studio lights on, so I can see through the foundation paper, and it's a thick foundation paper. Funny story, or at least it was for me, to me. Bob went out last night in the kayak, and he sent me a picture from his phone of the sunset. And then he proceeded to drop it in the lake. So today he has spent his day. So now, granted, this is the same phone, like an iPhone 2. It's really old, and he shattered the back of it like the week he got it. So it wasn't terrible news, but he has spent the day trying to get it unthawed, and he went and he bought himself an iPhone 5. So now I'm really jealous. But isn't that funny? So he's got it in it. He's got the old phone that has the cracked back, Doesn't work, doesn't turn on. He has it in some rice and some noodles, and he wanted me to find little packets of silicone. You know, the oh, what's it called? Well, it's the moisture aggregator, whatever that is, that sometimes is in shoes or is in different things that we buy. Okay, we're on to pale blue. See, this is doable because the pieces that they give us are so big. Famous last words, I know. I'm planning our company outing. It's actually it's a planning meeting in Santa Clara the second week of August. And, oh, what happened? You're right, Sarah. This does take guts because it didn't come out all that straight. But I'm going to keep going. Anyway, okay, we want lights and lights. I noticed that the lights and the lights are all on the same side and the darks and the darks, just like a log cabin. There we go. Carol, if you're still out there, keep exploring the Advent calendar idea. And I just want to say, please pass congratulations on to your husband on his new job. It sounds exciting and fun and just great. Palest blue. Okay, now we're doing an overall blue. 6, doing 7. We're getting there. How are we doing for time? Uh-oh. Well, we're definitely not going to get to a Dear Jane square tonight. And I'm on a roll here, so maybe we'll go to like 5 past if people can hang in there. Patty B, if you're out there, hello. So nice to see you online. And Norma and Markay and Sweet Woodruff's down in Florida. I figured out a new way to do this so we don't spend so much time. Certainly uses a lot of thread. See, so I just keep cutting the back off and then finger pressing. So I'm going to show you what we have so far. You see that? So we're making a log cabin. A tiny one. Let's keep going. Oh, so I was talking about the business trip or the business meeting I'm planning. We're trying to find things to do in the evening. So we could play bocce ball was one option. We could go ride go-karts is another option. We could go volunteer at a senior center and wash wheelchairs. One thing we are going to do definitely is we're volunteering for a youth literacy program where we actually were given children's books and we're making literacy folders for each book that goes to each child. So what I mean by that, and it's very prescriptive and they tell us exactly what they need. For each book, they have difficult words that are in it. There are questions about the plot in it to test comprehension, and we literally are asked to make the cover of the folder have some artwork in it that relates to the story, and we're supposed to put the titles, of course, and the, what is it, IBSN, or that number, the International Book, Scholastic Book Number. So I think that'll be really fun. What other things could we do? Oh, I guess there's an adventure park somewhere near Santa Clara, which is near, it's Silicon Valley. It's near San Francisco. They have recently built a new a San Francisco stadium. I want to say it's the Levi Stadium. Let me make sure I get this right. 10, okay, 11. And they might do tours of that. So that's kind of fun to think about. Of course, I always have to chuckle. Here are people, we sit all day in this meeting, and we're planning next year and deciding strategy and what the market's going to do, and therefore what we're going to do. And then you're exhausted, or at least I am, right? Because even brain work takes some effort, and you're trying to influence and get people to understand your point of view, and then you have to go out all night for an adventure. But I guess that's part of the bonding. It's part of the whole thing. I just tell myself I'm getting paid to do it, so that's what we do. Okay, we are making some good progress here. Oh, it's right on 9 o'clock. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Well, we certainly have done a little bit of this and a little bit of that tonight, and I've had a great time. I think I should respect your time, and if you need to go do something else, go do it. If you want to keep working on your projects, do that too. I probably will keep going, and I'll try and post a finished one of this. But, we finished the Clemson quilt, almost. We deboned a couple of Dumptique shirts. We are prepped for Merry Mayhem tomorrow. Please join if you can. It'll be fun. Joyce Long, I will send you clue number 2 after we hang up, and Hitty will have a wall hanging pretty soon when we're done. So, for another FiberCast and from the Simply Colorful Studio, I'm Lynn. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.